started working with us a month or two ago, and you are joining us as Client Success Manager.
Yes, I am.
So welcome to the team at Braylon Technology Solutions.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, some of the challenges around when clients get a new smartphone. We love our Android devices and our iPhones. They last a couple of years, then we have to get a new one. And we excitedly run down, get the new model, and then what? Like there's all sorts of things that have to happen. We've experienced a number of challenges, and thus so have our clients it's disrupted their workday and they get frustrated and things, and we wanted to be able to help them a bit. So I asked you to put together some tech tips around what do we need to keep in mind when we get a new phone. So you went out and actually talked to the technicians at Braylon about what have they experienced. Helped you get to know the techs a little bit and understand some of the dynamics of what they're dealing with. So how did that go? What did you find out?
It went really well. I learned a lot of things, and it was kind of at great timing for me because I had just got a new phone and I had just gone through a lot of these things where my husband, who's in the computer business, said, he had brought home the new phone and he kept the old phone. And I said, why are we keeping this old phone? Why didn't you hand it in already? And he said, well, we got to make sure everything's good before we hand it in. And that was my first real, light bulb moment in the new position that I'm in that I didn't know before. And he explained a few things to me, and that got me intrigued. And then when I talked to all the techs, they as well reiterated the same thing, that it was important to keep that phone. And that was my biggest takeaway, was keep your phone. Keep your old phone until the new phone is working perfect. You've got everything transferred over, and then you hand in the old phone or give it up or sell it or whatever you're going to do with it. That was my biggest takeaway. But they had a lot to say. It was eye-opening.
Nice.
And I can't believe so many people, just hand in the old phone. And I have to wonder how many times they hand in that phone and then realize that they forgot some stuff and that's lost, or it makes it way more difficult for them to do their job for a few days, or, for the text to get it back later.
Yeah, I've heard way more people than I would expect say they got a new phone and they lost all their contacts, so they need me to send them my email address again or something like that. And
yeah,
that just should never happen if you transition from one phone to the other properly.
Right. And this is what I learned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you get a new car, you kind of get those 5 minutes in the parking lot and you kind of transition everything between the two and away you go.
Right.
The phone's a little more complicated than that. But you did narrow it down nicely to 4 main points after meeting with the technicians. And
right.
If you're a client of Braylon and you're listening to this, either you've got the document and you've looked at it and this is just going to give you a little bit more information, or maybe we sent you this video and you'll be able to jump off and get the document. So this is just supplementary either way. Let's run through the 4 points together, Kim.
Okay.
You touched on number 1 already. The number 1 point you got is don't hand in your old phone.
Right.
Now, I've seen this where someone has come into the office and they want us to set up their new phone and they don't know, they don't have the old phone with them. They don't know credentials and things like that. And they don't even know where the old phone went. And then they're kind of starting from scratch that way. And they might have lost critical information. So I think we've touched on it. Anything else to add to that? Number 1, don't hand in your old phone.
Don't hand, though, you want me to go on a little bit more about don't hand in your old phone?
Yeah.
Don't wipe it.
Don't
log out of it. Keep it active for a few days before handing it in. And I think I was allowed to keep my phone for a couple of weeks before I had to hand it in. And it was worth it because we did find a few little things that didn't transfer over. And it was probably a week or 2 in that we've realized that, hey, I'm missing this, and we were able to transfer it over. So that's important, just in case you've forgotten something.
So you said you had to hand it in. Does that mean you had to give it back to the cell phone store?
We were trading it back. Yeah, we were trading it
okay.
kid. So before we were doing that, my husband said, no, we gotta keep that phone for at least a week. And we kept it for 2. And thank goodness we did, because I found a few things.
Yeah. So that's a situation where somebody could really get back to into a corner quickly. So you've traded it in, you need to give the phone back to the phone provider at some point.
Right. And then it's gone. and
Yeah.
there's no getting it back. They've done all the things. They've erased it. They've got rid of it or whatever. So you're not getting that back.
So it might also be a work phone and your employer had given it to you and you have to give it back to the
Right.
employer, and whether they
Right.
hand it off to somebody else or whether they're
Right.
just putting it in a junk pile, you don't know. But same thing, hold on to it for a bit until the transition's complete.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And then your Google Apple ID accounts. Be sure that either you or someone in your company knows the critical passwords and IDs, because without them, you're going to lose all the critical information on it, all of it. So you have to remember, you have to write that down or put it somewhere safe, or use a password authenticator or something to keep those passwords safe.
Yeah, they're a key to setting up the entire device, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, we didn't put this in the document, but we chatted about a little bit is sometimes if you're the owner of that previous phone and you can provide proof of purchase, but you can't get into the Google account, there's certain locations of Samsung dealers or authorized dealers that might be able to help with some Android resets and things that you can provide verification of purchase. But it seems like the Apple side is like there, you're not going anywhere if you don't know those
No.
passwords and things.
It's locked. You're done. Yeah.
And this is where a lot of, like I mentioned, some people will lose their contacts and things, pictures come into play. Is by logging into those accounts and making sure Cloud Sync is happening through your iCloud or through your Google account, you're able to transfer over a lot of that information. Your Gmail calendars, your contacts, your pictures, those sorts of things can come over nicely from one phone to the other, as long as you know those passwords and can join those accounts up on both phones.
Right. Yes.
That reminds me, on point number one, even though you may have transferred your SIM card and your data package and your phone package is now on your new phone, you can still use the old phone. The power's on, right? Connected to
Yes.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You don't need to have it for texting and for cell service, but it can still be an active Wi-Fi phone that allows you to do some of that transition.
Right. Yes.
Make sense? Miss anything
Yeah.
there?
No, I think you got it.
Okay.
Third one, multi-factor authentication, MFA apps. If you use an MFA app on your device for work or personally or both, you need to proceed carefully, really carefully during the transfer to your new device. Because if you lose tokens or codes, you'll lose access to all the key applications. So you have to make sure that that's taken care of. And you can always contact Braylin to help you through that process. I would have to.
Yes. There's some tricky things there because not all, there may be more than one MFA app involved. And there may be different accounts involved, and Braylin can help with some of them, that we administer certain things on the back end for you. So we can reset certain things if we know who you are and get them reactivated. But you may have, for example, set up multi-factor authentication on your Facebook account or on your bank account or your Twitter account, whatever. But if you've logged out of it on your old device and thrown that device away and your MFA app is on that device, and then you try to log in with your password on your new phone and it's asking for that MFA code and you have it on the old phone, which is gone.
Right. She gone.
That's a problem.
That's a big problem. And that was something I'm just learning. I'm just learning about MFA. I've just started using it since I started working with Braylin. So there's I'm still learning how to do it all. And I would suspect most of us out there are like me, and we're just getting through it. We're learning how to use MFA. We're learning how to put our fingerprint and the codes and punch in all the stuff. And I would not know that it was that important to contact Braylin or get help from someone that knows what they're doing before I handed in my phone. I wouldn't have known that. So that was a big takeaway.
So you'll be able to help our clients understand that based on
Right.
any pain you've been through. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It depends on the application and it like what service are you using, whether it's the X, Twitter, Facebook,
Right.
banking, they might have a different way of resetting MFA. It can also depend on the multi-factor authentication application that you're using on your phone. Some of them have backup systems that you can utilize. Some of them, they don't work the way you want them to. So there's a series of steps that you can take to make sure those all transition properly. And that's where the Braylin technicians have a lot of experience with that and can walk you through it. So don't be afraid to ask, like you said.
Right.
Okay, number 4.
Do you know all your passwords? You need to know all of them. You need to know all of those passwords before giving up the old phone, but they have to be in somewhere safe and secure so that you can re-sign up all your stuff.
You know, and that links back to number 2, like your Apple ID. We've had clients come in for with a new iPhone and they want to be able to say, I need to get set up with my Microsoft email for work, which Braylon helps them with, right?
Right.
But some of them have come in just with this brand new Apple device. It's not even set up properly and it's not logged into an Apple ID. And so you go to the App Store and you try and download the Microsoft Outlook app so you can join them to their work email, and it won't download because you need the Apple ID and a password. And you say, okay, we can do that. What's your Apple ID and password? And they say, I don't know.
Right,
And
exactly.
we say, well, go home, do your homework, figure it out, and then come back and we can help you because you're stuck if you don't have
Right.
that. So
Right.
if you can get the app and then you don't know your Outlook Microsoft password and it's managed by Braylon, our technicians can work in the background through the admin side to
Yes.
reset that for you.
Yes.
But people use their phones for other things too that we don't look after.
Right.
So
You've got your banking, you've got so many important things that we now use our phone for that we don't even think of until it's time to go use it. You know, an e-transfer, and all of a sudden you don't have your password and you
Yeah.
don't remember it. Yeah. So those were the biggest 4 for me. Those were the 4 that the guy, like all the texts were, those were really important to them. And I understand why now after they've explained it all to me.
That's great. So we just wanted to add a little bit more context to it, explain a few things in a little more depth through this video. I'll add, with regards to passwords, of course, security is what this is about, right? Like you have MFA is about security, having your Apple ID and your Google ID, all those things have to do with keeping your data and access to your personal things and your work things secure. So when we say remember your passwords and write them down and things like that, we have to be careful about that. We want to make sure that we're keeping our accounts secure. So we don't want to just leave sticky notes on the walls in our office and stuff so we don't forget these things.
You're not supposed to do that? Oh.
No, I'm sure no one does.
No. Or on the underside of your keyboard?
Yeah. You know, it's very secure under there. But I mentioned in this little document, there's such thing as a password manager app. More and more people are using them. They have their pros and cons too, with their own security issues that you have to be aware of. So it'll probably be a subject of a future random tech tip from Braylon. But it's also something that we can give some recommendations to clients on, whether it's a personal one or if it's something that an employer they want to help their employees manage all of their work passwords better. There's commercial versions of password manager apps that Braylon can help administer. So we'll talk about that more another day, but just a little tidbit for now. If clients wanted to ask you a little bit more about that, that's the exact type of thing that your position is going to help with, Kim.
Yes.
And they might ask Warren or Paul, the account managers, right? And then never hear back about it because they're busy. So we brought in you to help them.
Right. Exactly right.
Right on.
And I'll make sure that the questions get answered. If I can't answer them, I will make sure someone answers those questions for you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for talking through this today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And we'll look forward to getting this information out to our clients. And